Hi guys, welcome. I see there's a few of you out there. Hi there, I'm Beth from Natural Mama Cafe, and it's good to see you here. If you notice, there's a chat window over to the right if you're on YouTube, and I'd love to know who's joining us. Go ahead and tell us what your name is and where you're from. And we're gonna wait just a couple minutes to see if anyone else is joining. Say hi if you're here already. We're just waiting a few minutes to get started to see if anybody else is joining us today. If you're here, say hi and fill in over in the chat. What's your name and where are you joining us from? So today I'm going to be sharing 3 tips, and these are some of the best tips that I've found that actually changed my mindset. Now you can go through and declutter your house and you can get through it just by putting in the work. But what I found is when I changed my mindset in these 3 areas, it actually made the work a lot easier and it made it go through a lot quicker. I got through things a lot quicker. So I decided I wanted to share those things today. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, there we go. So feel free to introduce yourself over in the chat. Can you guys see the chat over on the side of the screen there in YouTube? And can everybody hear the sound okay? Everybody's getting the sound in the video okay? Can somebody let me know if they're hearing it okay and getting the sound in the video? Okay, we're going to start with 3 ways to change your mindset and conquer clutter with kids, because we know this can be a lot more difficult with kids. The reason that I wanted to offer this partly is because I saw a lot of resources out there for people who were just completely changing their lives by decluttering and getting rid of things in their homes. But a lot of them were single people or people who didn't have kids. And my first thought was, oh my goodness, how do I do this with, you know, young kids with a family? And I have 5 people's stuff to go through, not just my stuff. And I can't make everyone else go through their stuff. So, you know, how do I get everyone else on board too? So I started a series on my blog, and my blog is Natural Mama Cafe. And I write about simplifying and living a more natural life. I've recently done a series on basically going through my entire house. We had already spent a few years really reducing the amount of things that we had, but we still had some problem areas. And I decided I want to go through it and I want to get everything all the way to that ideal state that I just picture as my perfect home. And I want to do it all the way. And I want to do it all the way, even though we have young kids. I know everyone says that, you know, when they're young, don't worry about it. You know, you can just let the cleaning go, spend time with them. But I don't think it has to be a one or the other. And also, I think there's a point where you have to be able to get your dishes done. You have to be able to find your checkbook when you want to pay your bills. So I think there's a way to do this even when you have young kids. And I have been loving seeing homes and lives transformed. First in my own home, And recently I've been able to work with a few people on a more one-on-one level, and it's been really fun to see their homes and their lives transform too. So the adventure begins, because this really is going to be an adventure. If you're setting out to declutter your home and totally change your life and change the amount of stuff that you have, maybe even work toward minimalism, it's going to be an adventure, because it's not just a big chore. It's going to take you somewhere. It's going to take you to be able to have more time and more freedom and more energy to do a lot of the things that you want to do. So before I can talk about the 3 tips that really changed my mindset and really made this easier for me, first I want to tell you about the effects of clutter, because it's probably more damaging than you even think. And if there's something that's really going to motivate you to get through all your junk and do this thing, it might be knowing about these effects that clutter can have on yourself, your family, and your kids. 300,000, that's a pretty big number. That's the number of items in the average American home, according to the LA Times. I was kind of floored by that number, actually, but it's no wonder that we feel stressed out when we have to clean. We feel stressed out thinking about going through all of our stuff and getting rid of some of it, because we have so much. And that number, it causes a lot of other problems as well. It causes more than just a messy home. That number of items, purchasing that number of items, it causes waste, because we don't need all of it. The average American throws out 65 pounds of clothing per year, according to the Huffington Post. And the average 10-year-old owns 238 toys, but actually only plays with 12 of them, according to the Telegraph. So obviously there's some room for improvement here. We have a lot of things that we don't need. All of that stuff can also cause decision fatigue. It causes stress, it hinders productivity, and it uses up brain resources, according to Psychology Today, that allow us to think, brainstorm, and problem solve. So when a real problem actually comes up in our life, we have like 0 energy left over to deal with it, because we've been dealing with our stuff all day, making decisions about our stuff, making decisions about what to wear, finding things that we can't find, and just cleaning up. And that amount of stuff definitely leads to overstimulation. It can affect both adults and children. In kids, it can actually make existing mental conditions worse, and it has even been found to cause PTSD-like symptoms in a lot of children. And that's according to Kim John Payne, who wrote Simplicity Parenting. If you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. That's actually where I got started. I started my minimalist journey looking for ways to simplify things for my kids, and that book was just an eye-opener and a life changer. And here's a quote from Dr. Sherry Borg Carter. She says, "Messy homes and workspaces leave us feeling anxious, helpless, and overwhelmed. Yet rarely is clutter recognized as a significant source of stress in our lives." So there's all these other things that we recognize as stressful, which would include, getting in an accident, a major life crisis. There are a lot of things where we see that someone is having stress and we offer support. But rarely do we recognize that someone is just feeling helpless and overwhelmed because of the amount of stuff in their life. There's not a lot of resources to get support when you're struggling with that, but it has really real effects. Okay, so now I want you to think about something. Think about your vacuum cleaner right now and where it is, and does it feel like a chore to get it out? This is not my closet in the picture. I'm not going to tell you whose closet it is because I don't want them to be mad at me. But there's a vacuum cleaner in the back there. And in this particular example, how much time would it really take to get that vacuum cleaner out? I mean, really all you have to do is move that green bin and then take the vacuum cleaner out. And it's a pretty lightweight vacuum cleaner too. So I don't know, 30 seconds probably. So it's 30 seconds of your life. But when you open that closet door and you see all that stuff in there and you see you have to move the bin and you have to kind of shimmy back there and get the vacuum cleaner out, it feels overwhelming. It feels like more than 30 seconds of your life. And so every time you finish a meal and your kids have dropped food all over the floor, it feels like a chore to have to go over there and drag that vacuum cleaner out and plug it in and vacuum under the table. And a lot of that is just because of the overwhelm of stuff. And we do this over and over and over again throughout our day. When our house is not in order, there are so many little tasks that could be so easy that just feel overwhelming because of the amount of stuff involved. Think about if you've ever had to just find your checkbook to pay a bill. And we multiply this by 300,000 items in our house. It's no wonder we're stressed out. Okay, guys, I'm ready to share my tips, and I hope you're ready to make some changes in your life and in your home. If you have a pen and paper, you can grab it and write them down, or I'll be sending out a replay of this video later too. So let's do this. All right, my first tip to change your mindset and make decluttering easier is to get a clear vision. We want to prioritize and start with the absolutes in our life. And those are the absolute things that we have to do and the absolute things that we feel are important to us as a person. Maybe there's a hobby that you have that's almost like part of your identity, and you feel at your best when you have a little bit of time to do that. Or you feel like you can kind of de-stress a little bit, because we all need some of those things. It's not just about focusing on, well, I have to go to work and I have to take care of my kids and I have to do this. There are things that we need in our life to make us feel fulfilled and complete as a person too. So start thinking about those things. Also take some time to think about what's important to your family. What things does your family love to do? And figuring out what you and your family really want out of life will make it a lot easier to let go of things that don't make the cut. You might start to notice things that you're keeping things around in your life, and maybe you're even spending time on things that are not those most important things, but they're taking time away from doing those most important things. So if we can get a clear picture of what our life looks like, it can really affect how able we are to get rid of our stuff. And I already said, talk with your family members, start with the things that are necessary. And also, when you're thinking about your priorities, limit it to a reasonable number. If you have 20 things in your life that are priorities to do every week, the chances are that you're not going to get to all those things anyway. So this is a good time to start thinking about what really is a reasonable amount of things to be spending my time on. What really is a reasonable amount of things that I need in my life? And if you can let some of those things go, then you can let go all the material possessions that go around that too. So if you need more help with defining your vision and getting motivation to start, we have a resource for you on the blog. And I'm going to post the link right over here in the chat. Just a second. It's naturalmamacafe.com/minimalism motivation workbook. And that is a free download that you can get on the website. And I just posted it over there in the chat, so you have it. Okay, and moving on. Tip number 2, this is a huge tip to change your mindset if you're not already doing that. And it is to pick your favorites and set limits with your stuff. You cannot keep everything in your house and make the change that you want, so we're going to have to set some limits. We're going to turn things around right now from the way people normally look at decluttering. What I want to say to you is, don't focus on what to get rid of. A lot of times people will walk around their house and say, oh, I need to declutter. I'm going to get rid of 2 things today, or I'm going to get rid of 1 thing every day, or I'm going to get rid of 5 things every day. And that's good. I mean, eventually that reduces the amount of stuff, but really you're picking out 1 or 2 things that you just don't use anymore. And that can be a very slow process. But if you focus instead on the absolute favorites, and those things that we just talked about that are part of your family's vision, then you can decide if you would be okay and your life would be okay with just those favorites and actually just let the rest go. You can get rid of huge amounts of stuff in just a short period of time by flipping it around and looking at it this way. So, for example, you take a category like books and you say, how much space do I have for books? Maybe I have enough space for each person in my family to keep 10 favorite books or 12 favorite books or 20 favorite books. But you pick a number or you pick a shelf that they have to fit on and you choose your favorites. Everyone gets to pick their favorite 10. Everyone gets to pick their favorite 12. And then if you had those books, would you be okay with letting the rest go, giving them away, checking them out from the library if you ever need them again? And set those limits, and then you're going to get rid of huge amounts of stuff all at once instead of just like one or two things here and there. Here are some ideas for limits that you can set in your own home. And these are just ideas because everyone's process is going to look different. But you could limit mugs to the ones that fit on a certain shelf. You could keep only the blocks that fit in a basket and get rid of all the rest. You could allow your kids to keep 1 pillow and 3 stuffed animals on their bed, and they get to pick their favorites. You could keep just the books that fit on one shelf, or one thing that we do in our house, we have a cube organizer. I'm sure you've seen those with the toy shelves with the cubes. And we literally have 1 toy per cube in the organizer. So we have 8 toys in our playroom, plus a kitchen set, a basic kitchen set, and a basic dollhouse, and that's it. And honestly, we didn't get rid of all the rest of our toys. We kept a reasonable number of other toys in our toy library, and that's something you can do where you keep all the extra toys put away where the kids can't get them out all the time and spread them everywhere. And then occasionally you can rotate them in so the kids can choose new toys to keep in their playroom. And that way they're not out all at the same time making a huge mess. Okay, one note about toys while we're talking about it. When you're setting limits, you really want to try to keep open-ended toys. And the reason is open-ended toys can be played with imaginatively, and they have lots of different functions. So if you only have 8 toys and each of those toys only does one thing, you're going to get bored of them pretty quickly. But instead, a tent that could be a cave, a house, a hiding place, or an igloo, it's very imaginative. It can be fun day after day for years instead of a puzzle, which kids will get bored of doing every single day. Here's a few more open-ended toy ideas. So these are some of the favorites that you might want to keep when you're setting those limits. Blocks or building materials, art and craft supplies, dolls and animal figures, simple dollhouses or play mats, toys that do not have buttons or batteries. A lot of those button toys, they just do the same thing over and over, and they get repetitive and they get boring. They can also be overstimulating too. But also, simple cars and trains are great open-ended toys. And fort building materials. I mean, what kid wouldn't love to have a whole basket of fort building materials, blankets and ropes and things in their playroom that they could play with? All right, we're on to our third tip. And our third tip is about keeping your space clutter-free after you set those limits and you choose your favorites. Now we want to keep the clutter from coming back, and we want to keep the stuff from going everywhere. So let's redefine our space. The number one tip that I have for this is to reset each room each time you leave. Okay, this may be totally different than what you're used to doing, but if you can think about shared areas in your house as living space rather than storage space or somewhere to leave your stuff, it's going to totally transform your home. So cabinets are storage space, closets are storage space. You may have some designated storage space in the basement, but your living room is not storage space, so it's not somewhere to leave things all the time. So for adults, if you work on something or you bring something into a room, put it away afterwards. This is something that was totally a new thing for me because I used to leave stuff that was half done everywhere, and I'd have 10 different things going that were half done. But if you set up simple containers for each project or each type of thing, then you can get out something to work on and put it back in the container and put it away, and it's still ready for you to get right back out and work on again. So when you're in a room, don't leave the room until your papers, craft supplies, or other things are picked up. The exception is work that will be resumed after an interruption. The only reason you're leaving it is because your kid just asked you for a glass of water, or you just got interrupted, or you have to make dinner and you're going to come right back to it. So leaving one thing like that would be okay. And of course, it's up to you to set your own guidelines for what's okay and not. Okay, for kids, if you want to follow this reset each room principle, you need to let them know the rules. Are they allowed to bring a toy, book, game, or project into the main living area? You can set whether they do that or not. Or do you want toys confined to a certain part of the house? And make sure they know. If they can bring their things into the living area, make sure they take them with them when they leave. And exceptions would be a specific place they're allowed to leave a puzzle or project. Maybe you have a project table and they're allowed to leave a puzzle there that they couldn't finish or something like that. And if you think that this is something that your kids are just never going to be able to do, I encourage you to look into Montessori a little bit. If you look at even a Montessori preschool room, the kids are taking out one thing at a time, playing with that activity, and putting it back. But the key is they've made sure that the toys are easy to put back. They have very open shelving. Each thing is contained in a basket. So if you can create an easy way for your kids to put things back, I guarantee that they can learn how to do this, even though it might take a little bit of time. Okay, so those are my 3 tips today. And to recap, we talked about how clutter is a big cause of waste, stress, and overstimulation. And we talked about 3 tips to change your mindset and how changing your mindset can make decluttering a lot easier. So we want to first get a clear vision about what we want and what our family wants. And then we want to pick favorites in each category and set limits and let the rest go. And maybe even let entire categories go that we just don't need because we defined our vision. And we also want to redefine our space. Living area is not storage area. And if we can have those more well-defined, then there won't be as much mess to deal with. So I hope these 3 tools can be helpful to you and help you start making a change for the better in the atmosphere of your home. And what are the next steps after this? So for some of you, these 3 tips is all you really need. You're almost done. You're almost at the place that you want to be, and you just needed a few tips to help you with cleaning, and it will be easy to keep things clutter-free with the tips you just learned. And I know you can do this. And for others of you, maybe you have a long way to go. And then you'll see a big change when you implement these tips. You'll definitely see a change and you'll get some momentum going. But the next part is the critical part. So I want you to be able to keep going in 2018, to keep making changes and stay motivated until your house is exactly how you've always envisioned it. I want that for you, and I know that's what you want too. So think about 2018. Think about what you want your home to look like, where you want your time to go, all of those things, and what do you envision? What do you want to achieve in 2018? Do you want less stuff? We talked about you can beat decision fatigue and reduce your stress level. You might even see some changes in your child's behavior just by having less stuff. Do you want more time? Well, less stuff means less time looking for things, less time cleaning, and less time trying to organize. What would you spend that extra time on this year that you haven't been able to accomplish in the past? Do you want a transformed home? What do you want your home to look like? Thinking about these things is going to give you the motivation that you need to make a change. And starting with decluttering is a huge step toward creating the beautiful space you want. It also takes a lot less work to design a beautiful room or a beautiful home when you have less stuff to distract. If you're ready to make a huge change, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's not going to be easy. Going through my home these past few years has been tons and tons of work because we had tons of stuff. And part of it was just trying to figure out a plan, just trying to find a way to tackle it and get the motivation to do that. So what if I told you right now you can have your own private coach plus a group of like-minded moms cheering you on to make this huge change in 2018? A coach can help you come up with a plan for the specific obstacles you are facing and the places where you get stuck. And having your own coach is easier and more affordable than you might think. So what we're actually offering is more than coaching. We're offering a new program called the 8-Week Decluttering Intensive, and you can transform your home in as little as a few hours a week. And this program starts in just a couple weeks in January 2018. I want to give you 3 awesome ingredients to help you reach your goal. I want to give you a plan that we'll work on together so that you can accomplish the goals that you want. I also want to give you positivity that you would find in our coaching sessions together and also in a Facebook support group that's going to be all positivity and encouragement. And third, I want to give you accountability so that you have check-in points to make sure that you keep going and you don't stop after just a couple of weeks. I know that was important for me to have accountability to be able to get through the whole task of my home. Plus, another benefit of this package that we're offering, we all understand, myself and all the other moms that'll be doing this, we all understand what it's like to do this with kids, and it's not easy. So if you decide to sign up today for the 8-Week Decluttering Intensive, here's what you would get. We're offering 3 private coaching sessions with myself where we create a plan to tackle your biggest obstacles. And that coaching is valued at $199. We're also offering a private Facebook support group where you'll get feedback, and I'll be in there too answering questions between sessions. Plus, group members can share photos and encouragement. The third thing we're offering is weekly tips, motivation, and assignments to keep you going. It's a mini course in itself that's valued at $49 that you would also get with the package. The total cost of that package individually would be $347. The thing is, we're offering for this first time the entire 8-Week Decluttering Intensive for $197. You can see a huge transformation in your home for a great discount. Plus, we're offering a special discount today that's only available through attending the webinar. You can enter coupon code webinar40 for $40 off. So that means you get the entire package valued at $347 for just $157 for a limited time. And this is probably going to be the only time that we offer at this price, since this is the first time we're doing it, and the price will only go up next time we offer this package. So I'm sharing the link right now if you want to check out more information about the package, and it has your discount code right on it. We do only have a limited number of spots available because this does include private coaching. So this deal is going to be available until the spots fill up. And here's what our test group had to say. Stephanie, I'm so glad to see you out there, because Stephanie, we haven't done this full program before, but Stephanie's been through some coaching, and this is what Stephanie had to say. She said, Beth gave me the motivation to really declutter my house instead of just reorganizing my stuff. I started with my homeschool room, and it made such a big difference for us to find things and to be able to use the room for school. I'm still working my way through the rest of the house, but I'm confident it will get done easier now with what Beth has taught me about decluttering and the change in mindset that has been taking place. And this is Stephanie's awesome homeschool room. She had a lot more stuff than she needed before, like most of us do. And my homeschool room was the same way. But afterwards, it just looks so gorgeous and sunny and beautiful. And I was so happy to see that change for her. And Stormy was also in the test group, and she said, Beth is amazing. She has a warm, welcoming approach and is really passionate at what she does. I love our video sessions. She has helped me work through some of my tougher issues and helped me refocus so I can get where I want to be. And I'm so glad to see that change for Stormy. So again, the entire 8-week decluttering intensive is currently $197, and that's a special discounted price. But you also get a special discount only offered through the webinar on top of that already discounted price. If you enter webinar 40 at the link that I shared in the chat, you can get an extra $40 off. You can transform your entire home in 2018, and we'll get you started for the first 8 weeks for just $157. Thank you guys so much for being here and for listening, and I really hope that those tips can help you. And if you have any other questions, you can feel free to ask questions right now in the chat, or you can also find me at beth@naturalmamacafe.com. And if you have questions about any of the tips that I gave or the package that we talked about, please feel free to email me anytime. And I hope to meet some of you soon in the coaching sessions. And I hope to talk to you soon. All right.